Hello and welcome to my channel where we may be dazed, but we are not confused. We're going to do a listening to Shell's message for the sign of Leo. So what I'd like you to do is take a look at the 3 videos that I have posted in the timestamps below. Pick the video that resonates with you the most deeply. After you make your selection, please click on it to go to your selected video. I'll see you soon. All right, Leo. Seashell number 1. So it looks like you're in a situation in which you are dealing with getting over resentment about missing out on an opportunity. All right. I feel like it was a bountiful opportunity. There may have been maybe 3 things or 3 options or, something pertaining to the number 3. It could be 3 days, 3 months, 3 individuals that you wanted to work out, but it did not. However, with the 5 of Cups card and it's got that yucky, toxic brine coming out of the cups, this was something that was toxic to begin with. It's not something that would have been nutrient rich or suitable to put into your body. So it was something that needed to be poured out. I feel like you were kind of spared a bullet because if you had actually taken a drink from either of those cups, you would have recognized that it was actually poisonous and it was not the opportunity that you expected. So on a more mundane level, it could have been something you would have started, gone into because it looked good from the outside. Once you got into it, you would have realized the toxic nature of it. You would have realized that it wasn't what it made itself out to be. And you would have recognized that, you didn't really lose anything by not getting that opportunity other than the belief and dream or ideal that you had in your head that it was something better than what may have been waiting for you in the future. All right. Because I do feel as if you do have another opportunity that you may not have been paying attention to because this other one seemed like it was more. But I feel like in this situation, this is a prime example of less being more, because the one that was not going to work for you was something that there was more of it. There was something about it, and I feel like it has to do with quantity. And going back to that number 3, it could have been the amount of time that you put into it. Maybe there was something to do with quantity that made it seem as if it was better. However, it would not have been once you got into that. And you had something better waiting for you down the road, but you had to let those things go in order to find that. All right. So this opportunity, I feel, has far-reaching effects. And I'm not talking about the one that didn't work out. I'm talking about the one that you weren't paying attention to, that you now will be able to pay attention to now that you've gotten over the resentment of this other thing. I feel like your higher guides and angels and so on have really been rooting for you and trying to help you get to this space. In case you don't know, from my perspective, when you're talking about your higher self, your guides, your angels, these are all aspects of you that are helping you to get on the path that's going to be the most beneficial to you, because it's yourself trying to have an experience that's going to be the most in alignment with what's going to be best for you and the people that you come into contact with. All right. So it's almost like if you were existing in parallel universes, this is you looking across these and saying, okay, this is going to be the best thing for this person, not this one. These other things can work, but this is going to be the one that's going to give them their ultimate fulfillment. And it's the one that, we collectively want to experience. Okay, I know I kind of went there with that one, but those of you who know will know what I'm talking about with that, all right? So, I feel like you're taking some time to kind of rest, relax, clear your thoughts, because originally you were very resentful about this. Maybe even some anger there, but you've taken some time to kind of pay attention to why you felt that way. You know, with you coming out of this resentment, I feel like you've taken the time to, you know, kind of reflect on what it was that you were even that concerned about in the first place. And you're recognizing that it's not all that you were thinking it would be. All right. I think you're starting to see the wisdom in this not working out and being in the correct flow of what you were trying to do. All right. And I think that now that you've had some time to kind of reflect and also heal from this, because even if something is toxic and it's not something that we really need to be doing, there is this need to kind of heal and get over those things so that you can move forward and focus on the things that are going to be edifying to you, you know, your priorities. And I feel like now that you've let go of this and the anxiety and the resentment and the anger of things not working out has kind of worn off and you let that go, you now have the space that you need in order to focus on your priorities and give the time and attention to the things that you absolutely need to do. I feel like it's almost like I'm picking up like Underground Railroad vibes. So it's kind of like you were in a situation where you were almost in bondage, you know, before. And so it's like now you're kind of like escaping and you're having to get from point A to point B, but you can't just walk directly because there's so many different traps and people and things that might have been holding you back. So that could have been a thing as well, where you're being blocked and that's keeping you from moving into what it is that you need to do. It could be just straight haters, people who just don't want to see you do better. So they want to keep you in this, you know, crabs in a bucket mentality where they're trying to hold you down every time you try to get out of something, or they see you, or they get the faintest whiff that you're about to do something fabulous or just do better for yourself. Even if it's not something that's just extravagant, it could be something simple like, oh, I made sure that I locked my door to my house before I left and I didn't get my keys locked in there. But if they're used to you doing things like locking your keys in the house every day and having to call a locksmith and go through all that and then being late and having this cascade of tower events, then seeing you do one thing right is a sign that that's not going to happen. And, you know, I'm sorry, but for individuals who have that crabs in a bucket mentality where they are getting off on a misery loves company kind of energy, that's going to be a problem for them because you're not suffering. You're not going through setbacks. You're not going through all of that. And there's an energy attached to that. And it makes people feel better when other people are experiencing that. Because when they're not, then, you know, whatever place that we put this person in to make them feel as if they are, you know, that's their lot in life, it makes us question our role and our place in our lives when they're not there in that space, losing, missing out, making mistakes that could be avoided. So I feel like that's a lot of where that energy of this crabs in a bucket comes from. All right. And that's not to throw shade at anybody who might find themselves on either side of that. It's to just kind of, you know, talk about that energy because, you know, these are things that are happening that we're experiencing. We don't have people to really talk to about that. Hearing it spoken about and said can be edifying and helpful, not only to the person that's going through it, but even for the person who might be perpetuating it and they don't even realize, because we can't always see all aspects of ourselves. We can't see ourselves. Okay, because I know I do that too. Like I'll listen to readings or I'll do that stuff to get a different perspective and see where I fall. You know, I don't always fall on the side of the person that's, you know, having all the wonderful things being said, but it's good because you can't always see yourself and it helps you to, you know, first of all, decide if it's something that you agree with, or second of all, decide if it's something that you have the courage and the humility to try to correct if it's something that you don't want to continue. And you don't want to show up like that and you don't want to have that kind of energy and you're not aware of the type of energy that you're putting out towards other people that they're having to deal with and transmute. So that's where I'm coming from with that. All right. So I just feel like that's important, you know, to say, you know, peace, but that's the energy that's coming out with that. Okay. So the other card for the Sacred Rebels that I have for you is every journey starts with a single step. All right. Because, I feel like you're at the beginning of this journey into your best path, what's going to be the best for you. And I feel like it's going to be a journey. You might have some obstacles and some, people that are going to try to block you and capture you and put you back into a situation. And then you're also going to have people who are going to help you, who want to help you, who want to see you make it. And they're very aware of the dangers of what you're going into. You know, I'm picking up this could even have been an abusive type of situation, male or female. And it's not something that you can just walk out of. I think sometimes we underestimate that not everybody can just walk away. Like there's layers to that make it difficult to make a complete break. So, all right, so let's read this. It says, "Of my own free will, I now choose to surrender any fear or doubt about my ability to succeed. I believe in myself. I trust myself. I have faith in the unfolding journeys of my life, both internally and out in the world. Even in the face of the unknown, I know that positive energy surrounds me and I am protected. Through unconditional love, I am supported and assisted to take each step as needs be so that my great creative life journey can be all that it can be." Right? And then you have the creation card for your peace oracle. All right? Because I feel like you're creating a new space in which you can thrive. All right? But before you can create something, sometimes you have to have things be destroyed. So you have a nice, clear, and clean slate in which to create. For it isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. And that's by Eleanor Roosevelt. Creativity is a goddess with a life of her own. She is the indefinable and unpredictable power of the universe. Every act, no matter how small, is one of creation. Be conscious of your actions and all they manifest. Each act of creativity gives rise to another. A period of intense creativity and productivity brings your plans and dreams to fruition. Concentration and completion, a tangible result. Throw yourself into an endeavor. Your ingenuity will inspire others. Creative abundance flows through me. I have limitless energy and inspiration to give to my heart's desires. My positive actions bring joy, health, and wealth. With every action, I am creating a better world for myself and others. I create great change. My actions bring peace. All right, so that's what I have for you for seashell number 1. If this is your last video, then I may hopefully see you in the future. If not, I will see you in the next video. All right, seashell number 2 for the sign of Leo. All right. So I feel like you are deciding to take courageous actions to pursue a relationship of the romantic kind. All right. I'm feeling like this was platonic to begin with. And, there could have been a sense of not wanting to, cross the line from being platonic because you didn't want to hurt the friendship that was there. But I feel like between the two of you, there is some sort of obstacle that you know that you can overcome better together. And so you're deciding to follow your higher guidance to make this an actual relationship. All right. Because, like I said, I feel like there may have been I feel like there was fear of rejection. I'm picking up some anxiety, social anxiety. I'm picking up some emotional hangups and things between both of you, both together and individually, that could rear their ugly heads and cause problems for, future interactions. But I'm picking up that there is this sense of trying to pay attention to intuition and what really seems to be, I don't want to say spiritual to sound cliche, but almost like there's a sense of needing to I don't even just say obey God even, but it's like at that level, whatever your religion or beliefs are, it's like at that level, the sense of needing to connect with a higher source, and that this type of relationship is something that helps to do that. All right. So I feel like before this happened, there may have been a lot of complaining about the lack of connection, maybe wanting to take it to the next level. Maybe one person wanted to and the other person did not. All right. And I think that when this other person took back their power and said, you know what, if this is not going to work for me, then I'm not going to ask, I'm not going to beg, I'm not going to put myself into a situation where I'm having to lose my self-respect and dignity to try to make something happen that's being held back on. Regardless of how much I believe that this is something that should be happening, I'm not going to just wait, or I'm not going to just try to, make something happen that's not supposed to happen. And I feel like this person is taking back their personal power by making a choice to let it go. But I feel like doing so caused this person to create space and a gap that allowed these people to reach their destination together. All right. I feel like sometimes when you have two lights, because like I said, this is almost like, a God driven situation. So I feel like you have two lights, like two light workers, two light beings, two people that have, their stars in their own right. And I don't mean necessarily like in a Hollywood or like on stage, but I'm saying that from within, who they are, how they show up in their own circles, they are bright lights. And when you have two lights together, it's very difficult to see the light when it's just light everywhere. But when you remove some of that and you have the darkness, now you have a contrast in which you can see what it looks like with one of those removed. Or, it's difficult to, because it's difficult to see that. But making that separation, it's sometimes cliche, but people say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I feel like that may have caused, there to be this sense of, oh, this person actually is, my, not all of my happiness, but it's the closest thing to like the castle in the sky, the proverbial castle in the sky that, people fantasize about. And that castle in the sky can be anything. It doesn't have to be a literal castle in the sky. It could be whatever goal or thing that you envision for yourself as far as experience is concerned with another person in this lifetime. All right. So I feel like it's the woman in this situation is receiving her own fulfillment because she made the decision to not just try to hold on to a relationship or try to force something. She's getting that validation. She's getting that love, that support, that energy that we usually try to get from other people in relationships, from the universe, from the divine, from her, whatever it is that she believes in. It's an energy that's beyond the physical, beyond just another person. All right. I feel like this person is, I feel like it's like the opposite of like being thirsty for a relationship. I don't think that, when we use that term thirsty, because this person in this card that I'm looking at is drinking and looks very satiated, and there's this light. It's almost like, the pictures of saints where they have like that halo around them, and she's drinking from this cup, and it's like that light is connected to it. So it's like she's receiving her nourishment, her emotional fulfillment from the divine within herself. She's honoring that within herself as opposed to needing another person in which to get that from. All right. Her needs and those things are being fulfilled in that way. And even though it's a woman on this card, this could also go vice versa and be a male that's also feeling that way. I've heard it said before by some people that, sometimes relationships are not actually about the other person, but it's psychological usury. Like, we're in the relationship to use that person to supply our own psychological needs, to work things out, to try to figure out something unresolved in ourselves. And then once you have it figured out or you've gotten tired of it, you can just dismiss that person. But that's not a fair, give and take of a relationship between two individuals, because it's about what you can get out of that person to work out psychological issues. All right. Which is it's a form of usury. You're using that person to play off, these motifs or themes or things that you're needing to figure out within yourself, which is fine if that's something that both are into. But with this image of like the thirst, I'm picking up like from the slang term, is that it's very, very easy for someone who is codependent, who does not do that work to try to get that stuff figured out, to become addicted and attached to someone and not be able to supply that from any place but that person, and be almost completely, bonded in a almost like parasitic way to feeding off of that person psychologically. And, as we know, like, that's codependency, and it's very unhealthy. It can lead to a lot of toxicity. So I feel like this person, with this Lover's card being out here, I feel like this person, just because that's the energy that they're in, it could be male or female, when they do thirst, because there's certainly nothing wrong with thirsting. I'm thinking about the story of Jesus on the cross. This is also non-denominational, so we all have different, beliefs, but the story of Jesus on the cross saying that he thirsts, metaphorically, is that he could actually have been thirsty, but also just emotionally, for emotional fulfillment, compassion, any of those things, that emotional, that love, that exchange, that was something that he needed. And that is a human emotion, that is a human need, to have some type of exchange of love and care, and a sense of well-being and wholeness that comes from being in the company and in the presence of people that love you or that care for you. That is a very real human need. Also, though, it's important to not be completely dependent upon other people to get that supplied, and to be able to receive that from sources within yourself, to be able to give that, to feed that thirst, to fill it up, to quench it with that energy from within yourself. All right. I'm thinking of, when they say, like, if no one's patting you on the back, pat yourself on the back. If no one's giving you a hug, give yourself a hug, and genuinely mean it. And I feel like that is what is shifting the dynamic of this relationship, so that it has a chance to develop in a healthy kind of way. So let's look at the reading for that, for receiving. All right. It says, I release all false guilt and shame about having needs, and all false beliefs about rest being wasteful or unnecessary. I accept healthy, productive, sacred rest and the gifts of happiness that it brings. I understand that rest and activity balance, feed, and nourish each other. There is sacred healing that happens through rest, which is very powerful. I accept and receive this now. Through unconditional love, this is now so. And then the card that you have here is taking action. So I feel like this pulling back and taking some time to kind of recognize where you fall personally. You could fall anywhere with this, but understanding that your source comes from within, that light comes from within, has created the space to come together in a healthy way with another person. All right. So action. It says, change your life today. Don't gamble on the future. Act now without delay. So this is that discovering your courage to move forward and make that happen. Okay, and this is by Simone de Beauvoir. Peace is not passive. It is an innate longing and an active pursuit. Peace does not idly wait for better days. It walks shoulder to shoulder with justice. It anticipates, nurtures, defends, heals, supports, caresses, and orders troubles away. Quest for peace. Claim it and take it to the world. A dream will remain merely a dream unless you do something about it. Make something happen. Take strong, decisive action for yourself or on behalf of someone else. I love this life. I care for it, nurture it, and prepare for it. I tend to life as an attentive lover, anticipating its needs, shouldering its burdens, and championing its successes. Beautiful life, I adore you. Action makes perfect my noble intentions. I act for peace. I act for life. All right, so that is what I have for seashell number 2. If that's your last video, then I will see you hopefully in the future. If not, I will see you on the next video. Seashell number 3 for the sign of Leo. All right, so it looks like you may have recognized that you were either working on something for a very long time, maybe for a period of 8 years, and when you look at what you've created, you're seeing that it is not something that's reflective of what was really in attune with and in alignment with your soul's desire. So, I mean, I feel like this happens a lot where we can start putting a lot of effort into something and work really hard and put a lot of time into it and find out later, only after we put in all this work, that, oh wow, I didn't really get what I put into that, or that didn't really turn out the way that I wanted it to. And, we could feel some resentment about that. We can look at it and say, did I waste my time? I made a mistake. How could I work so long on something that's so out of alignment with what it was that I was trying to make? But I feel like because you are able to see it and recognize it, you're making the decision to do something different, which is to let go of whatever it was that you were working on. And that could be very difficult because you put so much effort and time into it, and it was something that, you felt like was going to give you some type of return, or you would see something that was more reflective of the heart and soul that you really put into it. I feel like it's just looking very disconnected from your heart and soul. And so as a result of that, I feel like you're kind of like trying to think back to what happened each of those years that you were working on that, or it could even be days or months, but I feel like it's a little bit of a longer time period. So either years or months. It could be weeks also. I mean, I feel like this could be a job that you were working at, and maybe it was like a project that you were doing, and it was an 8-week long project, and the end result of this did not match the vision that was put out like on a vision board, or what the original proposal was. And there's this sense of like, okay, so we have to scrap it. We have to let this go because it's not coming out the way that we were expecting it to. And so as a result, we need to let go of it and move forward so that something else can blossom. All right. For some of you, I'm also picking up, this could also be a relationship. It could be an 8-year or 8-month long relationship that maybe you had expectations that it would come out and look like something different, and it's not. And so, looking back on what you built and what you put into it, you are deciding that you need to let that go as well. All right. This could also be beyond a work project. It could be a job itself that you're having to let go of because maybe you've been there for 8 months, or I'm thinking 8 years, 8 months. I don't think 8 weeks is long enough to have the level of looking back on it like, oh, I put so much time and effort into this, but it's not reflecting. But it could be that, and you could also be deciding to let that go, or someone could be letting go of you, and you're just kind of reminiscing about all the times that you had, the good and the bad that went along with that. All right. So I'm picking up a lot of reminiscing energy over, the positives and the negatives, and maybe even, kind of idealizing the positives, as we tend to do in those situations, because, once we're kind of removed from it, it's easier to see the positives and not the negatives. All right. So I feel like you are in this decision to kind of leave this behind or kind of scrap it. You're making a decision to try to surround yourself with either healthy or positive or non-toxic environments, work situations, or things that you feel are going to give you the best possible outcome. because they're the most in alignment with what it is that you're trying to do. All right. It could be that you're having to shift around some of the work partners that you're working with in order to do something. It could be coworkers. It could also be a relationship wise. All right. I mean, there could actually be someone trying to swap people around in a relationship to try to make something else work. But I would say that in doing that, whether it's relationship based or if it's a work situation, it is so important to be grateful for what it is that you have. So when you're looking back and reminiscing, to see the positives as well as the negative and experience some gratefulness for what it is that you did have, and to see where you got joy in that, to prevent yourself from going into a cycle of repeating some of the same behaviors and having some of the same problems in whatever future endeavors that you have. So basically, just trying to learn from the mistake, learn from where it is that you may have kind of veered off your path so that you don't repeat that. All right. So the Sacred Rebel card that I have for you is the Sacred Fool. Okay, so I feel like this is starting over and kind of recognizing there's this sense of needing to, give yourself a clean slate and try again. All right, so let's read what this card has to say. It says, I call on the Sacred Fool of unconditional love. Please help me access your lightness of spirit, your wisdom, and your ability to exist in the heart of truth, to be powerful without becoming attached to or obsessed by power. I honor your vision. May I see and know so truly and be free. I choose, of my own free will, to give myself absolute permission to just be myself now and always. Through unconditional love, mercy, and compassion, so be it. Okay? And then the card that you have for your Peace Oracle is Listen. All right, so let's see what that has to say. O Great Spirit, help me always to speak my truth quietly, to listen with an open mind when others speak, and to remember the peace that may be found in silence. And that is a Cherokee prayer. Listen, seek to understand, immerse yourself in the stories, perspectives, and troubles of others. Take their tales into your heart and your mind. Allow yourself to be moved by them. Remember them. Learn from them. Be changed by them. Act on them. But first, listen. Drop preconceptions. Gather information. Ask questions and take careful, considerate note of the responses. Delay action until you have explored another perspective or know the other side of the story. I am a trustworthy confidant. I listen with love, compassion, and interest. People talk to me openly and freely, knowing they are accepted and understood. I am attentive and interested in the stories of others. When I listen, people hear, you are safe, you are unique, and you are loved. Okay? So that's what I have for you for seashell number 3. If this is your last video, then I will maybe see you in the future. If not, I will see you on this next video. All right. Bye-bye.